Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, man's been busy, but we are back here, back at it again with Mental Outlaw. So, Mental Outlaw, the master of React Native himself, will be showing you guys how you can come up with some beautiful looking UI layouts. So, yeah, to you, Mental Outlaw.
This is the design that we're going to be working on, and specifically the first screenshot. We are going to be working with React Native and specifically with the Expo SDK. So right away, I'll set up the project template. So let's create a folder. I think we'll call it what's courses? Yeah, courses. So to start a new project, you do npx create expo app and then dot put in that same folder that we just created. So meanwhile, we can look for some assets like these images, and for that we're going to use Andro. So actually
Android.co.
Yeah. So what can I call this workstation or something? Okay. Yeah, maybe you can use this one. So in order for us to have the same color, maybe I can try to find the exact color. That blue. Yeah. So we're going to use this one. And we'll use a PNG. So I'll call it let's say user PNG. Yeah. I think we're good, and the project is now set. So I'll open it up, and then let me move. Actually, let me download it to this folder that you just created. It's in projects, process, inside assets. Yeah. So we are good. So this is the boilerplate that gets generated with the template. But you're going to edit it to match the exact build that you're working on. So I will be running it on my phone. So I have a tool that will mirror my phone to the screen. So I want to do that. I simply type in that, yeah. And before we begin, I'll turn off notifications. Yeah, so we're good. So to start the application, huh? Okay.
Wallpaper ni kali.
So okay, let me minimize one of the terminals. Okay, either it's okay. So to start the application, I'll do npm start, and then I'll navigate to Expo, and 1 second, I need to turn off my VPN. I'll scan the QR code. So let me connect again. Yeah. So think that should be much more clear. Uh, so it's complete. Mhm. So now we have the templates that you can start working on. So I immediately, because this is the design we are going to work with, we are going to create a new folder and we call it screens. And then, because we are working on this one, you can call it the home screen. I'll create a new file, home screen, .js, uh, and then uh, I'll now create the starter templates. And if you have the MS extension, no, it's not MS, ES7 extension. You should just be able to type RNFE. That will create a template file. Then we now want to display this home screen in the app.js file. And this is a lot of boilerplates that you will not need. So I'll just take it out. And then again, I do the same thing. React Native functional with the export. And then we can now import the home screen. And then we just display it over here. Yeah. And then yeah, it's okay, there it is. Now we can start working on the home screen. But yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So we can begin. Because this application has several parts because we want to maintain good practice when writing our code. So we can break it down into many pieces. So we can call this the profile section. Then we can call this the course section, and then maybe this can be like a video section, something of that kind. So right away, we are going to start with the profile section. And for that, I will create a components folder. And then I call this the profile section. And then do the same thing, RNFE. And then we import it in the home screen. Import profile section. And then we render it over. So yeah, we can see profile section over here. Now let's start working on it. So from the design, you can see that there is a uniform space around at the top, on the sides, on the bottom, and on the right. So that will just require padding. So you can come over here to view, or rather, because we talked about good practice, you can make this one better. So instead of writing our styles directly into the, or rather, it's normally called inline styling. You can create them separately. So for that, we require a style sheet. And then just over here at the bottom, I'll create a styles variable and then say style sheet and dot create. And what this allows us to do is to define the different styles as objects, and then you can use them for the inside here, like for example with the view or the text. So if I now want to create styling for the view, I'll just simply say style and then say styles dot, maybe you can call it main. So now this main is the object that we define over here. So we'll come say main, Then you can now define the styles that you want. So the first one will be padding all round. You can give it 20. So it will be refreshed. Yeah, so we now have some padding. And then there is a background color of white. So background color white. Then so we have hello and then the username and then an avatar. Okay. So we're going to start with we create two sections. So we are going to have one section that will hold the hello and the name, and then another section that will hold the avatar. So that means I'll just come up with two views. Yeah, the first one will contain the text hello and also the username. So in this case, Alonzo. Yeah. So then we need to have the avatar image. So for that, I need to import image from React Native, and we should also get some avatar image. So let's find one. Uh, so we can just click on any, maybe zero. So again, okay, that's not happening. This one. Okay. So I'll just save it as avatar. Then quickly, let's come over here. So we bring in the image, and then uh, there are many ways that you can use the image that you just downloaded, but the easiest one would just be to refer to the source folder or rather path. So you do that to the require, and then you require it in the assets folder. And what's the name? Avatar PNG. Yeah. So over here we can see the image and also the hello and the user. So let's style it to match the design that you're working on. So first of all, let's start with the image. So for that, again, we need to say style and then styles. So these styles we are talking about is this variable, and then you give it now the like the ID that you want to use for to style it. So we just call it image, and then now this image is what will deploy over here. So image, and then because if you look at it, it's round, and yeah, I think that's enough to come up with the design. So you can give it a width of 60, a height of 60. Um, then, okay, I think 50 should be enough. Yeah. Then to have it rounded, you just say border radius 999. That will give it a perfect circle. Yeah. So one more thing, we realize that the two are separated in a row, so there is some space between. So that implies that we need to make the parents div, or rather the parent view, which is main, to have some we need to give it some styles that will align the two the way that appears on the design. So you can start by saying justify content space between, then align items center, and then a flex direction of raw. That will do the job. Yeah. Then now we can move ahead to styling this. So you can see that the hello has a gray color, and the username is bold and in black, and also has a greater font. So you can start. You can call this greeting. Then you can call this the username. So let's start with the greeting. So yeah. So starting with the greeting, and give it a font size of 16, a font weight of 400, and a color of gray. Yeah. Then for the username, and do a font size of 18 and a font weight of bold. So yeah, I think that's okay. Maybe I can do 19 and maybe a letter spacing of 1. Yeah, I think that's okay. That's for the design. And then so I think for the first section we are done, which was the profile section. Now we can move on to the search, this section over here. So again, because we are working with components, I'll also create a search component. And for that, again, we'll do React Native functional export. And then right below the profile section, I'll import it and render it right for the next week. Search component. We should see it over here. That's nice. So the first thing that I noticed is there's a difference in backgrounds. So this one is a little bit blue, while this one is white. So let me get this color that is bluish. So we'll apply that to the search component. So again, let's get the style sheets. Then over here, yeah. So again, I'll call this the main. Then let's reference it over here. And so let's start with the background color, the one that I just copied. That, yeah, so that's nice. Then we can also give it some padding all around. We'll say padding of 20. Yeah, that's nice. Then we can now work on the search input and this icon over here. So because the search is an input field, that means we are required to have an input field. And in React Native, you can get that to the text input. Then, yeah, so we can, yeah, that will allow us to have an input field. And then I can see that there is a search icon. So that will mean that we also need an icon library. And for React Native, we have icons. So just import that. Yeah. So let's see how we can design the search button. So I think we can have like a parent div that will enclose the text input itself and the search icon. So to do that, let's create a view. And inside the view, we have the text input, the placeholder that's saying search. And then we need to have the icon. So the name is search. And we can give it a size of 24 and a color of black. So we should be able to see that right now. So I don't know why there is a delay. So I just refreshed. Okay, there we go. Now we need to give it a background, and in this case that will be white. But before that, let's give it a width, and then you can separate the two in a row, because right now they're in a column, as you can see. So let's start by giving this an ID. So we can say styles dot input section. So for that, we can say a width of maybe 80%. I'll just reload that. And then justify content space between align items center x direction of row. So that's nice. Now let's work on the text input itself. So for that, you can give it a styling ID. Just call it input. So for that, you can give it a height of 40, a background color of white. So let's see how that looks. Then a width of 80, no, you can do 70%. I'll explain why. So the reason, okay, first of all, let me give the input section a background color that you can use for testing first. So let me give it a background color of red so that you can see how we can fix the two together. So we need to ensure that the width of the search input is close to the search icon. So for that, I could make this 90%. That's a lot, maybe 85. Yeah. And then instead of space between, I could do space around. Yeah, that's nice. And then now that we are comfortable with the positioning, we can now give the input section a background color of white instead of red. So we'll do white. Then if you can see there is a curvature or rather some border radius. So let's do that. So we'll say border radius 7. Yeah, I think that's nice. And you can see you're able to type inside the input field. So that's I think for that you are done with the input field. Now we can move to this icon. I think it's supposed to be a filter icon. Yeah. So we should render it on the right of the input section. So for that, we'll give it because it's an icon, so definitely someone has to tap on it. So we need to have a touchable opacity, which in React Native uh, acts like a button. So whatever that you put inside a touchable opacity will be clickable as like a button. So let's declare it over here, touchable opacity, and then let's have the icon. So I'm not sure of the name, but I think it's filter or something. Filter, let's see. Size of maybe 30. Let's see what comes up. No, so it's not the correct icon. So what I can do, I can go to icons. We should search to see the name of the icon. Filter. Okay, I'm not seeing the icon. Oh yeah, it's here. So this is options. Options outline. So let's see what you're getting. Yeah, that's nice. So again, they need to be in a row. That's the input section and the icon we just created. So that means for the parents div, which is the main div, you also need to do the same. So I'll just copy that. And that's nice. You are getting them separated and displayed in a row. Now we can start styling. So we'll need to give this touchable opacity some styling as well. So you can say filter section. So what we first notice from the design is that it has a blue background. So I'll just copy the exact color. So this is it. So background color like that. Then we can give it a height of 40. And yeah, then maybe we can have some padding for left and right. So for that, we just say padding horizontal, or maybe 5. Yeah, that's nice. Then to center the icon, just say justify content and align items at the center. Then we need to give it a border radius of 7. Yeah. And the icon has a color of white, so we'll just say color of white. Yeah, and that's it. So the search and the search icon and the filter icon that's properly displayed. And now we can move on to the next section, which is the courses section. So again, we'll come up with the components. And in this case, we are going to have a reusable components because we have four categories over here. So let's just create one component that we'll be able to reuse. So I'll call these a courses component. So again, React Native functional export. Again, from the design, there is a consistent background of, blue, rather the one that you used for the search component. So I think what I can do instead of repeating the background color for each component, I could just simply have this as the main background color. I just come over to the home screen, or rather, yeah, the home screen. So let's get the style sheet. Then again, the same thing. So then we can call these the main. So main should have a background color of that. Then we can simply say a height of 100%. Yeah. So now the background color is applied for the rest of the screen. And that's what you're seeing from the design. So now that you've done that, you can move on to work on the courses component. So again, we can see that uh, we need to have a view with an icon and the name of the course. So for that, let's import it first of all, the home screen. Import course component. So that should be rendered over here, nice. Then we can start with the styling. So let's get the style sheet once again. And so we call it main and just reference it over here. So for these, again, a padding of 20. So that's nice. I hope it's not a lot. Okay, maybe you can do a padding horizontal of 20. Yeah. Then for here we can now bring the title, which is courses, and we give it some styling. So it needs to have a bigger font size. So I'll just call this title. So we'll give it a font size of 18 and a font weight of bold and a letter spacing of 1. Yeah. And there's an issue over here. We have the avatar going into the menu at the top. So to fix that, uh, we go to app.js and we get the status bar and just put it before the home screen. That should fix it. Yeah, that's nice. Now you can continue having putting the courses title over here. Now let's work on the individual courses, uh, of which what I was talking about is that we just create one component and we reuse it. So for that, uh, I'll create a course item layers, and then you just bring it over here. Then let's create a view, and then have the course item in between. Yeah. So before we continue, let's style it so that it's able to display two per row. So for that, let's render four of them. First of all, we have four of them. Then so let's style that. So we'll say styles dot process section. So let's have think a padding vertical of maybe 15. Let's see how that will look. Yeah, that's nice. Then justify content, space between, align items center, flex direction row. Uh, so let's leave it to that first, then I'll explain. Yeah. So then, in order for this to move, let's say we have the first two, then the next two at the bottom. So for that, we'll do a flex wrap, and then wrap. But you'll notice that it's not working right now, and that's because you need to give the cost item a specific width. And before I do that, I'll like to give this a width of 100%. Then now, for each cost item, we'll give it a width of.
This is going to be the end of the first part of this particular tutorial, so be sure to check out part 2, which should be coming out in maybe a day or two. So be sure to check that out, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and we really appreciate it. Yeah, peace out.